Hey DIYers, I'm George from Alarm Grid. Today we're going to be going over the overview of a Simon XT system. So this is my Simon XT. It is an Interlogix system. It just so you guys a couple quick facts about it. It holds up to 8 user codes. It also has up to 40 zones. 2 of those zones can be hardwired into the system. It uses 319.5 megahertz frequency sensors. So those are any Interlogix sensors or any closest sensors, whether it's the standard or the S-line closest sensors. Um, it has an 85 built-in decibel sounder. And if you guys get a communicator for it for alarm.com, you guys can also control Z-Wave devices. For the communicators for the Simon XT system, there are a couple options. You can do Verizon, that's Verizon LTE. You can do AT&T LTE. They have T-Mobile. If you're in Canada, they have TELUS LTE. And then if you're looking to do just if you don't have LTE towers in your area, they do have an AT&T 3G communicator as well. Now these are all cellular communicators that you would add to the system, and so that you can control it through alarm.com. Alarm.com is a interactive service. It allows you to control arm and disarm, set up user codes, set up email and text notifications, control Z-Wave devices, all of that through an app or through the website. Yeah, but you do need to have one of the cellular communicators in the system, and I'm going to get to that in a second when we open up the system. Now, what I was referring to, the 8 user code on the system, you have up to 8 standard user codes. Yeah, you have a besides the 8 user codes, you also have a dealer code, you have an installer code, and you have a master code. The default dealer and installer code are 4321. So that's if you need to get into programming, and if you have a new system that you're trying to program, a new Simon XT, you would use the dealer or the installer code, which is 4321. The master code is the default is 1234. And then you have 8 standard user codes other than that. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up the system for you just so you guys can see the inside. To open up the system, you just have to press the top 2 tabs at the very top, and then the top will unlatch and you can just swing it down. I'm going to actually take it off the hinges. Give me one moment. Oh, now you want to play hard to get off. There we go. All right. So, hope you guys can see there. But I'm holding it upside down right now. If you look at this area right here, this little empty slot, this is where the cellular communicator would go in. So that's if you have the one of the Verizon or the AT&T, T-Mobile, the Canadian TELUS, that would plug into here. As you can see, it's a simple plug and play. If you look at these right here, this is an RJ11 and this is an RJ45. So these are both phone line connections. So if you did want to use phone line as well, and if you didn't want to go the cellular route, you can use one of these connections right here. You'll see here we have our battery connector. We also have our hardwired connections going into the 9 VAC in. And here are the 2 hardwired slots right here. I'm going to place this right here. So you can do 2 hardwired zones. Remember, if you do 2 hardwired zones, those are going to take up one of the 40 slots that you have available for your zones. So if you take up 2, that means you're going to have 38 wireless available zones. It also uses a ABS 6-1.3 backup battery. If I hold it upright, you'll be able to see there. And then this is the sounder. So that is an 85 decibel sounder. And this, what you see up here, is the actual tamper switch. So if you guys are being monitored and you guys have the tamper reporting, if someone takes the panel off of the backplate, you can have the alarm go off immediately. And you can see this little spot here aligns perfectly with the backplate the little indenter piece. Scroll up just a little bit so you guys can see. With this little piece right here. So the little coil gets pushed in by here whenever the system is on the back plate. And then whenever you take the system off, it causes the tamper to go off. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back on its place now. Oh. All right. Now I do want to touch a little bit on the sensors that I was talking about. Yeah. So the system like I said, has 40 available zones. You can either do 2 of them hardwired and then do 38 wireless, or you can just do a complete 40 wireless. They are compatible with any sensor that transmits at a 319.5 megahertz frequency. So that's any Interlogix or any Qualsys sensor. The Qualsys sensors, if you do use the standard, that's perfectly fine. And if you use the S-line, those are the sensors that do rolling encryption. Those, they won't actually use the encryption just because this doesn't have that kind of receiver, but they will still be able to work just as a standard sensor would. If you guys are looking to use this system to take over a home that has a hardwired, that is all hardwired, you guys can actually do a wired to wireless converter. If you guys are looking to take over a system that has wireless sensors, you can also do a wireless to wireless converter. And we actually usually recommend using a Resolutions product. I think it's called a Resolution. I don't know the exact model on that, but I'll be sure to get it into the comments of the video so you guys can actually get that. But it is a Resolutions product, and what this device does, whether they're wired or wireless sensors, it takes those sensors and it converts them to a 319.5 megahertz frequency. So you guys can technically use this system with any existing sensors that you guys have in your home, whether they're wired or wireless. For the Z-Wave devices, do keep in mind it holds up to 232 Z-Wave, but make sure that those are actually learned through the system. But if you're looking to create the scenes and the rules, those are actually done through alarm.com. So if you guys are looking to create scenes where like the lights turn on whenever the alarm goes off, then you guys do need to have alarm.com service so that you can actually create those scenes and the rules. Now, like I said, this system does only cellular or phone line. There is no internet connection to it. Yeah, so you would either be using the system through a phone line monitoring, or you would have to use a cellular communicator, which are the ones that I mentioned previously. Trying to see what else. It does have panic alarms. As you can see here, the doors, windows, and motions, it's a very easy step to arm. All you do is tap the button and it arms it.
Doors and windows on.
If I want to arm the motions.
Doors and windows on. Motions on.
And then, to disarm it, you just tap the disarm button, and then you enter in the master code, which is 1234. The default, unless you've changed it, right?
Enter access code. Disarmed.
And it goes back to disarmed. The blue lights turn off. And if you ever need to check the status of your system, you can just hit status. Mine has low battery. I had it unplugged. If you do have a low battery, you want to make sure that you allow up to 24 hours for that backup battery to recharge. Once it's recharged, the low battery signal should go away and your system should go back to acting normal. You can use these up and down arrow keys to scroll through the options. You can set your time. You can check the revision. Yeah, so you just hit up twice, or you just scroll through the options. You'll see the revision. The revision is important because the LTE communicators, I believe they require a 1.3 revision or higher. So you want to make sure that yours says 1.3 or above. Mine is 1.6. All right. Now, if I keep scrolling through these options, you can go into programming. This is where you're going to program your sensors or anything that has to do with your central station reporting. You can go into system tests. That's how you would do a cellular test to get activated. I have my Chime enabled. You can disable your Chime. You can set your date, your clock. Yeah. So touching back on that chime, this system also does voice and chime enunciation. All right, so it actually has a library of words when you're learning in the sensors that you can scroll through. It should also be in the programming guide, and you can enter in what words you want the system to announce whenever a zone goes off. And now that we're getting into the zones, I want to talk to you about what kind of sensors the system can do. And it can actually do burglary, it can do fire, CO. So burglary, I'm referring to glass breaks, door window contacts, motion detectors. Their environmental sensors would be the smoke, the heat, the COs, the flood detectors, anything that's environmental, right? Uh, Now again, these are all security sensors. For Z-Wave devices, the home automation, you would actually be using that for any home automation devices such as lights, locks, thermostats, garage door controllers. Again, all of that is learned through the system, but to create the scenes and the rules, that is done through the alarm.com application. If you guys want to find out more about this system and all the capabilities of everything you can do once it's monitored, you can always email us at support@alarmgear.com. If you found this video helpful, just go ahead and hit like underneath, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and enable notifications. That way, whenever we upload new content, you guys do get notified. Again, my name was Jorge from Alarm Grid. I'll see you guys next time.